Hello and welcome to Pattern Making with Let Morris. Welcome, we're going to be carrying on with our journey, with our lessons. Today I'm going to be starting on this week a new style which looks like this, and it's got quite a bit going on actually. So wherever you are today, where I am, it's hot and very sunny. But I'm giving God thanks for the weather. We mustn't complain. So today, this dress, this style has got a lot of goings on. We've got a stand collar. We've got some design features going on the bodies down the front, around the side. So we've got a seam coming around there and one coming down there. And the skirt is quite full. Same thing at the back. We've got a line coming down there. We've got this line carrying on around the back. So it's a nice run all the way around. You see as we carry on to make the pattern for this, we've got some pleats, little tucks on in the neck at the front going on there. And we also got a panel coming down from it's a cutaway arms, the back and the front, and it's got a stand collar going round. It's got two little loops and buttons at the back, and it's also got a zip in the center back. So there's quite a lot going on there. So we're just going to see how far we get with this as we go through the lessons. So if you just come along with me, I'll remind you of the style as we are going on. And today we're going to need our blocks, our tools, our pencils, scissors, ruler, set square, tape measure, paper to create this pattern here. So as you follow through, you will see, you might think it's long, but trust me, you'll be benefited from it once you know how to do it and you've got your pattern all ready. Whenever you want to make it, you can just pull your pattern out once you file them as you make your pattern. So there we go. So we've got the blocks. I've got your blocks out here. We always start with the blocks. I'll put the sketch over there. So always have your sketch handy so you can look at it and see exactly where you're at and what you're doing. So first of all, we're going to start off with our blocks. We've got the front and we've got the back, and I've already pre-marked out the block. I've extended it to the length that I want the dress to be, and I've transferred all the darts and the balance mark on a new sheet of paper so I can put my blocks away. And then what I've actually done is I've done it on the fold edge, so I can open out, and I've got one piece, and I can open it out and I've got one piece of back, one piece of front. So the reason why I've done that's because this dress is a right side up dress. Whatever is going on this side, we don't have it on that side. Same thing on the back. We've got panels going down there and we've got this line going that way. So we have to have this dress. When we make the pattern, we've got to make it on the right side up, our pattern pieces. So that's why I have marked out the total block. I've marked it and I've opened it out. As you can see, it's one piece front, one piece back. And now once I've got that, I am just going to create my style line. It's very hot in this workroom today, so I can't put the fan on because it'll probably make a noise in the video. But if I get too hot, I will have to put it on, and trust that you'll hear me as we're going along. So before I start, I just want to thank you all for watching. All those that's in the group, those that are watching on YouTube, I just want to shout out, tell you thanks for watching, and I do appreciate you watching, and I hope that you're getting value from these designs and the pattern that we're making. And I'd just like to say, don't forget to comment your comment is valuable. If you're not understanding anything, you can comment, you can share, and you can subscribe as well. So these are some of the things that you can do as you watch. And if you don't understand anything, you send me a message, a comment, and I will respond to you. But if I don't hear from you, I cannot respond. I'll just carry on as long as I can, making the patterns and hoping that you can pick something up. So here we go. So I'm going to start off with the front. So I put the back away. That's the back. And I'm going to start with the front. So that's my front all marked out. And I've already marked some of my style lines on. So if you look at the sketch, we've got a seam from the center front going round, and it's curved round. We've got one going down onto the skirt area, and we've got 4 little tucks at the neck on the front, and the armhole is cut away. So we've got this hot weather here, so this is a good dress to wear right now, because your arms are free, and you can get some breathing space in there. So that's really cut away on the arms, the back and the front. So what I've done is I've created the line that I want on my front across the body. So once I've got that, I am going to create my lines for where I want my armhole to be. It's quite different to what we've got, so we've got to come back to it. I just shut that door because I can hear some noise outside, so sorry if the sound went down a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna I've just marked on a little mark where I want my my tucks to be. You've got these style features, you have to create them yourself, and I want one to be right in the center front on both sides, and then I'm going to do them 1.5 inch spacing. So I'm just going to put a little mark, and that's the other one. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 little tucks on there that I've got to create. So I've marked them on, and I've also marked on, I'm going to do it in a marker so you can see from the armhole. I'm going to take a line right up to the neck point. That's where I want the line to be, and right back into there. So those are my style lines there. And also what I've done is from the center front, I've taken the line all the way just above, just at the waist section here, and then I've shaped it round. You can use your curve. If you've got a good you can steady hand, you can round that round. You can use your curve and back into a straight line to my center front here, because that's the design shape that I want. So all of this you mark on your draft. So I'm marking all that off on. The darts are in place. I'm not going to use the darts. I don't want these darts in, so I'm going to get rid of those. I don't want that dart in, and I don't want these darts here. So on my bodies, the waist dart, it's only 1.25 inches. So I'm going to get rid of this dart by taking 1/4 out to there, 1/4 out the side, and I'm also going to take 1/4 at the waist, at the front, center front area as well. So if I mark a line across where the waist is, I'm going to come in 1/4 there and 1/4 here, and I'm going to connect it back to the center. I'm going to connect it back to the center and just past the hips, but you'll see as we're going along, because I don't want any darts to be in the body, so I'm getting rid of it. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to separate this section here. So I'm just going to shade it in so you can see. I'm going to separate that section along here, and then I'm going to close my dart out, and I'm going to separate this section here, which is this section, along here, along here, all the way down on my skirt. So separate that section there, and then I'm going to separate another section, which is, I'll do it in a dark, the marker, that section here, because I've also marked the section that I want to be along there, which is that style line here that I've got here, this line. So we've got 1 section, 2 section, 3 section. So I've got them here on my draft, 1 section, 2 section, 3 section. So I'm going to have to copy all section off that I can work on them so that you can see. So I'm going to start off with this section here. So on another sheet of paper, we're going to trace off, this section here first. And you can either put a paper underneath, or you can put the paper on top if you can see through, and then you can mark off. But I'm going to do the method where I put my pattern piece on the top, and I'm going to copy round with my pencil or my tracing wheel. So I'm going to copy off this area here, right around, put my darts in. Very important, because I've got to get rid of this dart, which I don't want, my underarm dart. So I've got to put that in. And then with my tracing wheel, actually, I'm going to trace on this line here that I've got round here. And I'm going to go down the front and right around where I've shaped my style line. So this style line here, it just depends on you. You can make it higher up if you want, or you can come down lower. But I've decided to take it like just above my waist a little bit, and so I'll get a nice curve around. So, and then you mark your neck area. And then you can also put on your little marks where you want your pleats to be. So you've copied all that off. And then after you copy that off, you can take your draft away and mark, make sure you connect up your lines that you have traced off. I'm going to put the dart in here. So we put the dart in, and I'm going to just mark along this line here, because this is a straight line. This is your center front along here, and then you come round the curve with it like that. Follow that round, and then from this center front line, I'm also going to put a grain line parallel to the center front. So if I put a line on here parallel, and I'm going to use that as my grain line, so I can write my grain line on there now. And you've got to remember, when we trace off this section here, we've got a mark where the dart is here, because we're going to take a bit of the dart out, both on the side. So we just put a faint line across there, and also at the waist. So you must make sure that you've got your waist in position, so you're taking it out to the right place. So that is your waist along there. So before we do anything, we're going to take out the 1/4 inch off of there, and we're going to take a 1/4 off there, and then we're going to bring that back into the center front like that for the moment, and we're going to shape it back into our curve, so we get a nice curve. So what we've done is we've taken out a 1/4 out the waist, and we've taken out some here, and we're going to do the same thing, take it out to the bust point, and then we're going to take it back into the hip. So with your curve, you can do that, or you just curve that round into there, and that you take to that point at the starting of your dart on there. So once you've got that, we then now going to cut that shape out, because we have to close the dart. Now you've got to remember that these blocks that I use or if you're using a block and you haven't got seam allowance on, these blocks haven't got seam allowance. I put my seam allowance after I have done all my styling at the end. So I'm going to cut along there, the neck. I've kept the neck the same. The reason is because I've got a collar that I'm going to be putting on there. So I'm coming down, taking off this at this point at the waist, the quarter that I've taken, and I'm going to go round back to my new line that I've marked on here, and I'm going to cut that way because I don't want the waist dart in there. If you look at the sketch that we've got, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut up the side, taking the same thing off little bit out of the waist for the dart here, along there and back into my dart, and then I'm going to go right up to there. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put a line through my neck area where I want my pleats, my little tucks to be. If you look at the drawing, I've got some tucks there at the front, so I'm going to put a line through there, so I'll get rid of the dart. So I'm taking it right to my second tuck, and I draw a line. So can you see that? My first tuck is there, it's going to be in the center, and the second one is 1.5 inches away from the neck point there. So once I've got that, I'm going to slash on that line that I've drawn in, like that, and I'm going to fold out my dart on that line, and then I'm going to bring it up to the other line of my dart. So once I've done that, you fold that out, pinch it out, like that, folded out, like that, and we place, make sure it's on the line, and you can see what's happening. You can see that you're getting, once you close that dart out along there, along your side, make sure it's well closed out, like that, you can see it's open out. So you close it and you get it here, and the amount that we use there, we're going to use it to create our pleats as well. Okay, so once we've got that, you then see, we know that we want 1.5 inches for our each tuck that we have, right? 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, but the space also is 1.5 inches spacing. So we get a new sheet of paper underneath, you place this one on top like that. Then what we have to do is we can draw a straight line as well, so it gives us a guideline where we're at, so it tells us where we're at. So we're going to place that line onto that line like that. You sellotape it down, or you to hold it down, and then what we do is, what we're going to do is we're going to measure 1.5 inches, because we could, first of all, we measure and see how much we've got in there for the pleat. We need 3 inches in there, so it's almost that now. So we can do that in half when we add a bit on the front, right? So it's 3.5. We need another 1/4 inch. So what we've got to do is, I'm going to measure the 1/4 inch out here like that, and once that is stable on our paper, we then, I'm going to stick that down so that we know that's stable on the grain line, touching there and touching there, and I'll stick that down so that's, we know that's firm on there. Okay, so once that's firm on there, we add the 1/4 that to make it 3 inches, because it's opened out almost 3 inches, and that's the amount we need for each of the tuck that we want to put on there. Okay, because we've got 2 tucks. So what we're going to do is, we're going to, from that point here, we're going to measure out 1.5 inches, because that's what we need for our first pleat. So that's a pleat in there. and we're taking them towards the front. So see what I've just done? I've marked the pleat, the first pleat, and then the space that we need is 1.5 inches also. So we're going to measure 1.5 inches spacing, which is to there. That's the space that we need. I'm going to just put a mark there and just put space, S for space, and then we need 1.5 inches now from that space for our pleat. So 1.5 inches will bring us to there, that mark that we've got there. So all we do is we're going to take from that mark to that mark, we're going to, from to the waist, we're going to draw a line into the waist there, like that. And then we're going to mark across there a little bit. So once we've got that, we're going to continue marking out the shape that we've got on the paper around that section here. You follow it round, and then we come up the sides, along the side. As you can see, we've closed the dart out there and we've thrown it up into the neck point to create the pleats that we need, the little fold. Then you come along your armhole here, this is your armhole here, and then you finish off from that pleat mark that you've marked, and you just mark that around up to there. So now that you've got that, what we can do now is we're going to take this draft off our new pattern piece, and then you can see what we've got underneath. So this is what we've got. So we just shape up this underarm here, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the pleats. That's one pleat, that's two pleats, that's another pleat here. So what we're going to do before we do anything else, we're going to normally I tighten up the underarm here a little bit. So I'm going to raise it up 1/4 inch, so it makes it a little bit tighter, or we can take a dart out through there, but we're going to just raise it up 1/4 and then just take it back into the armhole to get a nice smooth line along there. That you can do with your curve as well. So once we've got that, what I'm going to do is to fold out these pleats that we've got and then cut out on it so that you can see. So what we do is, because I want my pleat to go towards the front, so from that first mark that we've got here, we're going to go from here to here, and then we're going to go from here to the center, and then we can get a smooth line. So we crease on that line and we take it over to the first pleat that we've got, like that, and we hold it down, or we can secure it with a stick or a tape like that. I'm going to put a little bit of stick on there, and we just I hope you can see all what we're doing here. We're going to take that pleat over to that one, and we're going to stick it there like that, and then we're going to leave the space that we've got in there, and we're going to take the pleat from there to the center, because if you notice, we've got one pleat right in the center of our design. So from that point there, we're going to take another pleat from there. We fold that pleat along there, and we're going to take it from there to the center. Hope you can see that. That's folded over to the center. Let's get that folded on that line, that folded on that line, like that, and it's come right over to the center there, like that. So we've got the two pleats in there, one to the center line and 1.5 inches away space, and that's your pleat. And then all we do is to reshape the neckline in like this. So from there we reshape it to that point, so we get a nice run. And then we can add, while it's folded, we add the 1/4 inch seam allowance along the neckline here. And I also like to cut, while it's folded, I like to cut away on that seam allowance that we've made, so we get a nice run along there, so we can take that bit off. So you find it's better when you cut it out while it's folded, so that you get a good run. So once you've done that, you can open that out, and then I'm going to mark this with the marker so that you can see it clearer. So that's one pleat here to there, so that's the first pleat, and that's the second pleat into there, your center front. So those are the 2 pleats on one side, and on the other side we're going to have another 2 pleats. So once you've got that, all we do is, as I said, we've raised the armhole so that we tighten that up a bit. So that's the new armhole here, and then we can rub that out, because I've tightened that up by lifting it up a bit, because on your block we create it for a sleeve, so I always like to make that. So on here we just add the seam allowance, which is 1 centimeter around this area, around your armhole, because you only need 1 centimeter around there, and you just take that round. And then on the center front we only need 1 centimeter as well, so I'm just going to add 1 centimeter down the front here, and around the curve you only need 1 centimeter around here. So we just put that around, and then we just follow that round all the way around till we come back into there, and we then put 1 centimeter on the side. You can follow that round the curve of your hip. Make sure you've got 1 centimeter down there into your waist hair, the waist area, and up the side all the way up to the armhole to meet that other centimeter that you've got there. So now this is your grain line on here, and this is your side front. So this is your side front. So if we just write on there side front, let me get a nice pen to write there. That one works. So it's side front, and we're going to cut one right side up. So that is your first bit of pattern. And then don't forget, we put a balance mark there for the indicate to tell you that that is your front. So we just cut along our seam line here, cut out that first shape pattern piece that we have along there, around there. So that completes that side of your front area of your dress. So we have created here the tucks that we need at the front neck, of the front neck along there. So we've got the front area of the dress. So that is that side that we have created. We've got the one tuck, 2 tucks on this side, and it's right side up. And now all we've got to do is to trace off. Can we put that one side? We're going to put a notch there, one notch there, one notch there, and one notch there. So that is your bit. So now we've got to trace off this section here. Okay, so what we do is we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to cut along this line here. We take that off, because you don't, and we can take this lot up here off. And don't forget, we've taken off the 1/4 inch off there and a 1/4 inch here. So before we cut down this line at the front. Let's take it from the neck point back into that point, and we're just going to shape that back into the curve on this line. And then we do the same thing on the side, right from the hip, when we come in and we go back out to the bust point. So we get a nice curve line in there, round there and out. So those are the lines that we're going to cut on. So from the dart, we're going to go down there and round there, and just on your hip, and we're going to come along here, this new one here that we come over here, because we've taken a little bit out of the waist, and we're going to go right back up into the center like that, center front. So as you can see, we've got this shape here now. It's slightly shaped in there, slightly shaped in there. So this is the piece now. What we have to do, we're going to do the same thing like we did on the other side. We're going to close this dart out here, and we're going to open it out through the neck so that we can get our pleat. So I'm going to take it to the second notch point, to the point of the dart, and then I'm going to cut out this armhole section here that I've marked on before I've closed the dart and open. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to slash down this area here, and I'm going to close the dart, and it's going to swing open. So I'm going to fold on that line, or you can cut up on that line as well. I'll cut up on this one because I folded the last one before. So you cut up on the dart shape there, and all you do is just swing that out and close it. You can stick it with a prick stick, or you can sellotape it. So you close that out like that before you do anything else. You don't have to worry about this dart because we've already taken it out. We've already taken it out at the side and at the front. So I'm just going to close that dart in there. So it's closed and it's open here. And we're going to do exactly the same thing like we did on the other one. So what we're going to do is I'm going to also open my dress because I want it to be a bit full at the bottom. So I've actually put a line across here because I want it to be fitted up, you know, just above the hip line, below the hip, along there, and then flute out. So I've decided where I want it, so I've put a line there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to divide this section into, let's say, 3. So I'm going to divide it into, let's do 1 there,